Hey everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's on the Tube, or welcome back if this is your second Doom Patrol Season 2 episode review. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all safe, being good to each other. I'm kind of in a weird position with my body, and I do not mean that as a reference to a Cliff or a Robot Man or anything. I just don't feel right sitting down, and I kind of was contemplating, like, should I do the first ever standing up episode of the show? But you know what? No, I'm not gonna do that. Instead I'm gonna sit down. Just be very uncomfortable. I can't explain what the hell. My body is very in fluctuation mode more often than not lately. So there are just moments where it's like I do not feel great, and sometimes there's moments like I feel amazing. So I apologize. I just wanted to get that out of the way if I'm like moving around more often than usual. But with that being said, let's talk about this week with Doom Patrol Season 2. Again, if you're unaware, we are very, we're taking our time with the season. We didn't do the three episode start as the review. We're branching them out because I wanted to give each episode its own time to breathe, time to space, and allow myself to at least like be able to like develop my thoughts coherently, even though I'm very well aware 2 more episodes are available after this one. I'm aware of that. I don't care. I love this show so much that I'm willing to like be patient with it as well as be patient with the show. So for this week, for this episode, very off the rails. Nothing more has changed. But this is more of a it's kind of hard to describe what an episode of Doom Patrol would even be like, because you get your. I think this episode would be best described as reality catching up to our heroes, or majority of them. And that's something that I really did enjoy. I think we finally got to see more humanity in this episode, as well as hilarious shenanigans that only Doom Patrol is able to produce on DCTV. If you've seen this episode, you know what the hell I'm talking about. And I'll get there when we go for the butchered recap. But I really enjoyed this episode. I feel like this was a good way to continue arching the story, as well as not to kind of harp in too much on what it didn't over rely on certain tropes for the season, as well as like overusing certain characters. I appreciated that. We kind of like took a sidestep, even though it's kind of like a sidestep to get like a very weird character from the DC lore into this. But anyway, I need to talk about what we saw. So let's get through it. Let's go through the butchered recap. So we begin once again back in England, back in the early 20th century, where this time we're back at the circus scene, except we're viewing this in Niles' perspective, where Niles was aware that he had. So if you remember from season 1, he had that romantic life with the nomad female creature, or the nomad female. I forgot what the name was, but it was like the woman, the thing. I don't even know what the terminology was. Like Niles had a child with her, and then Niles apparently has been in denial about it. Now he apparently has a lead to potentially where his daughter might be, which is where we find where we started in the season premiere. And we're seeing Niles kind of seeing what the circus has been doing to Dorothy, with them abusing her power and really trying to take advantage of her abilities, as well as summoning these creatures. And then for the first time, we get a very good look on this very dark entity that Dorothy's been keeping in her head. It kind of reminds me a lot of that villain, that CGI villain, not Enchantress from Suicide Squad. Like, the structure of him does kind of look similar. I'm like, is that him? Like it's got to be probably like a generic villain design. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of the design. I'm being honest, like, because I just said it kind of does look generic. It's kind of been done before in another DC project. But who knows? I mean, maybe he'll have more personality, as we'll get to see more of him later on in the season. So I'm not harping too much on that right now. And then we cut to the moment where we pick up back in the last episode, where we see Dorothy kind of in shock to what this entity has done to everyone around her except for Niles. And then Niles, in a matter of like explaining to her that she could trust him, is that he actually showed her some cave drawings, or some drawings of her mother, And that's when Dorothy realizes, oh, this guy, I can trust him. And then we get a little flash forward into the flashback where we see Niles and Dorothy have been, together for a couple years, but Niles realizes that Dorothy is a very powerful being, that he needs to be around to protect her, but her abilities allows her to prolong her human life. Like, she's always has been looking like a child for a lot of years, to be honest with you. And so Niles has to figure out a way, okay, I need to outlive this girl so that she never has to go a day of her life without me in her life anymore. So in order to get this immortality, so to speak, he decides to leave her inside of Danny, the magical street that we knew about since season 1. As a caregiver to Dorothy, while Niles is out searching the world, trying to figure out how to get this immortality. Also, I forgot to frame this context of the scene is Cliff is interrogating Niles in the way that Niles was doing to every member of the team back in season 1. So this is kind of just deserves for Niles. And Niles explained that, he is a father. He's going to do whatever he can for his daughter, no matter what the cost, even at the cost of, the team. Then we sort of get once again reacquainted with everyone. We're cutting to breakfast. Rita's trying to be more nicer to Dorothy, but not trying to be too overbearing. But of course, oh no way! There was a scene where Jane is trying to sleep, and then one of the imaginary friends appears in front of her, and then Jane gets freaked out and whatever. And she confronts Dorothy about it. Dorothy denies it, and then of course Dorothy also inadvertently reveals that Niles is dying. Niles just lost the piece of immortality he had on him, so now Niles is going to start aging up more unless he does find some sort of newfound answer. So then I believe a team meeting is called. Also to keep in mind, Vic has already left to do his own thing, and I found Negative Man already left, but he's just not in the scene. So they're all talking about the realities of the situation and stuff like that. Cliff is still obviously furious with Niles still. He's not letting go of this grudge. Well, everyone's kind of still trying to figure out how the hell are they going to solve this, how the hell are they going to keep Niles from dying. And Cliff is bringing up the fact that the thing is ever since you had Dorothy, you have tried, but of all your experiments, you can either find a multiple personality that will help you with the immortality, put your brain in a robot like Cliff is, somehow get Rita's powers, or get a negative spirit. There's theoretically at this point no real easy way to not achieve immortality, but Negative Man shows up and kind of explains that Niles is not going to pick any of us because he knows that we're all failures in his heart. So we are not plausible options, meaning that there has to be another option out there for Niles to be able to achieve immortality. So this is where everything splits up. We come back to Vic, where in his efforts to try to help him psychologically, he heads to I forgot what the name of it, a help group. One of those help groups. Meanwhile, but when he gets here, he interrupts another member who kind of gets angry at him because a rule of group is that you have to show up on time so that you don't interrupt the session in progress. And so they're kind of pointing at Vic because Vic came late, and also Vic is a cyborg, so everyone's not exactly comfortable around him. So Vic actually had to turn off his cybernetics so that everyone could trust him again. But we'll come back to this. We'll come back to him later. I think from there. Oh yeah, so Negative Man's off to the funeral for his son. Of course, off to a distance, so to speak, because no one knows he's still alive and whatsoever. However, once the main funeral part is over, he's able to go to the casket and kind of say his final goodbyes in a way. And then one of the really fireworks on the 5th of July. I hate my neighborhood sometimes. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So, meanwhile, he does get discovered by one of the, either the priest or just someone who knew his son. He kind of, figures out the connection there and, invites him to the house to kind of get the whole, I forgot what the wake portion over with. So he does, I'm going to get through this scene quickly. So he goes to the house, but he kind of is not, exactly wanted to go inside and talk to these people and explain his story. He's just wanting to be there to kind of say his goodbye to his son. But however, he kind of goes into this the shed, garage area, the separate mini building, and he finds, I believe it's the remains of his aircraft. I believe. I'm starting to forget if it was. He finds a picture of him during his heyday, and he's kind of like getting that realization that he kind of made a big mistake of not trying to be a part of his son's life. That he has went through most of his son's entire life without him seeing him again, and he's feeling regret. And there's a symbolic moment, at least for me, when I was watching it, is that a butterfly enters the scene. But then, I found it was like, the reincarnation period, that his son reincarnated into a butterfly, and he heard everything his father said. So there is still closure. But then I had to like flip that theory over because and I'm sorry if I'm jumping around here. The ending showcased Negative Man heading off back to the mansion, and he gets surrounded by all these angry butterflies, and I'm like, oh god, this is not his son reincarnated. No, this is something else entirely. But that was the end of the episode. But let me just backtrack a little bit. That was kind of like the minor misstep. So back to Vic. He goes to the woman that he interrupted her time for telling her sharing time, and he's trying to apologize. He's trying to trying to make her understand that he's still new to this. He's still trying to get through this, but also I can tell he does have he has a crush on her. So they go off for some food and coffee, and then after that, Vic is trying to play the gentleman, trying to walk her back home, but she's like, "No, I got this." So they start to separate, and then she's getting mugged by some guy, and Vic about to spring into action. This woman just is able to take care of herself, even with a cane. So Vic has another moment of attraction because oh damn, she can really take care of herself. She doesn't need anyone to help her out. And then, but however, their conversation quickly turns into an argument because Vic is confused why she's not calling the police on him. So apparently she wants to give this guy a break, but Vic is viewing his criminal history, and he's like, well, this is not his first offense. But she's like, well, yeah, but he's still a kid. Give him a chance. But they're having this argument about doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing, and it's kind of it starts to strain a little bit till Vic decides, okay, you can go. And, the two split off and, anxiously waiting for the next group meeting. So back to the main core group. So Rita has a talk with Niles about, what, if there is a contingency plan for him in place. Because, he obviously knew that there would be a day where he probably would not have the necklace anymore. So he has to have had a backup plan, which he does. Because during his times of, during his quest to find immortality, he finds this journal about this professor who has somehow been able to live for many millennia, many centuries, and so, but however, he's never been able to properly find him and get the material he has that is prolonging his life. So Rita decides to use that as her opportunity. Meanwhile, Cliff and Jane are kind of in that rocky territory where it's they're good, but sometimes they're not good. Where after the original scene with the team, Cliff sees Jane at the bus, and Cliff's like, "Oh, we're leaving! Thank God! It's time to pack up, hit the road, get away from these fuckers." Sorry for my language, but Jane's like, "No, I'm staying here. I'm just getting my stuff to move back into the house." And Cliff's confused because "Wait, what? I thought we were gonna leave." And of course, Jane is not that happy. There's no we. There's no us. I have to be here because stuff in the underground, her mind is out of whack right now, and the only time she was able to find some sort of stability was when she was with Niles. So she figures until she figures out another solution to her problem, she has to stay with Niles. Otherwise, she doesn't know what's going to go on with her mind and whatsoever. So then Rita pitches them of a mission to hey, let's go find this Professor Time guy, or I forget what his name was, something with time. And let's go get this guy. Let's go find how he's able to stay alive. And my teeth fell on my foot. Damn, that's hot. And then they're trying to figure out, how do we get to this guy? How do we are able to get this material? And then now shows them it's you're not, because you're not the first time I send people to go get this guy, and every time they try to come back, they never do come back. So it's pretty much a suicide mission at this point. But they are the Doom Patrol, so I gotta be careful with my tea. But I love my tea. Sorry, my voice is feeling a little stiff. I've been talking a lot today. Where were we? Okay, so Cliff says, like, okay, I have a way to get you guys to this, where he is, but you're going to have to travel through time to the specific point where I think he is. So it's kind of like time travel, but not really like time travel, where basically they have to admit, like, where were you during this certain time period? And you have to be honest on that in order for the process to work. So, and it was a pretty funny scene, because once again, Cliff lies about where he was. And the way when he actually admitted where he really was, is like, God damn it, I love you, Cliff, too much. I can't stay mad at you for long. So the three get transported to this portal, this other world. And when they get there, it's not what they imagine, because immediately people start breaking out into song and dance, which, although I am a fan, considering the fact that I have reviewed many musical episodes in my past, it's still weird that they just broke out to an interpretation of Bad Girls, and it was pretty fun. They realized, like, the guy they're looking for has a clock for his face. I kid you not. The man has a clock for his face. And I texted George about this, and he's like, oh yeah, it's DC. Well, what else are you going to do? I'm like, are you kidding me? Anyway, so they're trying to figure out how to get to him, because I think someone screwed up the routine and he froze him with his power, so they can't use that function. They can't use that. So they have to figure out a way to do it. And thankfully, he does go to them, kind of like boosts them. Hey, come on, man, let's go dance. And he gives Rita some. Keep in mind they're roller skate dancing during this, so keep that in mind. So Rita decides. So Rita goes along with him to kind of try and get close to him and figure out how to get his power. Jane and Larry. That was thinking this man's name, Larry. Oh yeah, I forgot about it. Okay, so Jane and Cliff are talking about, like, what the hell we're gonna do. Like, if we try to do anything on him, he's just gonna freeze us and kill us. So what do we do? And they're trying to figure this out. And then Cliff decides to say fuck it, as usual Cliff function. Of course, obviously the dude freezes him, but then Rita, he's about to start freezing him and then kill him. Rita, in an effort to save Cliff, activates her powers for a brief bit to kind of stretch something, or just stretch punch him. I forgot what she did, but it kills him. So it turns out the brain is his power. So Rita's kind of in the story, like, oh shit, I just killed this person. And of course, Cliff and Jane are like, let's get the brain and run. Let's get the brain and let's get the fuck out of here. But when Cliff touches the brain, he gets a vision of a proposed future where Niles is like dismantling him. But when Jane touches Cliff, she gets a vision of her past, of when I think her personalities were starting to develop. And she's seeing, like, a moment where she was in a church setting and she was being drowned because people thought she was possessed by the devil. So they're having these visions until Rita has the bright idea to, like, rewind his clock head so that they can undo his death. The guy eventually gets his powers back, wakes up, and sends them all three of them back to our world. Thankfully, Niles is happy they're back in one piece, but Rita is, of course, obviously angry about the whole thing, and they all kind of split off from there. And then obviously Dorothy wasn't in that much of this episode, but Dorothy then eventually goes to Rita for a cooking lesson for some weird reason. It's kind of out of the blue, to be honest with you. I'm trying to figure out if there was another scene somewhere, but I think that was it. I forgot. Yeah, I know that the Larry thing with the butterflies is how we ended the episode, but I'm not sure how the other storyline ended. Like, it's really rattling my brain how they were able to, like, how they ended up that segment. I think it was the baking thing. I don't think anything with Jane and Cliff, to be honest with you. So, yeah, that's it. So, just a reminder, the episode ends with Larry getting surrounded by a bunch of butterflies that are probably going to kill him. How will we survive this? Well, I got to watch HBO Max for the next episode. And sorry, fireworks on my end. And that's it. That was it for the episode. Again, I still think this was a pretty good episode. A little bit of a downstep from the last episode. I didn't find myself laughing too often until the bad girl scene. So that bad girl scene, wasn't expecting it. I really enjoyed it. They should do more scenes like that in the near future, my opinion. I like how we didn't really focus much on Dorothy. This episode is mostly focused on, let's get Niles. Let's get some help for Niles. We got to see a little bit more shades into Larry. Vic as well. So I'm really loving the direction they're going with. Of course, we're slowly building up towards whenever the next, real problem has to hit. We're inching closer to there. So yeah, 2 thumbs up for me, and I think that's going to do it for me, guys. So if you're unaware, this was What's in the Tube from ActionX. If you want to know what we're doing overall, What's in the Tube, besides our Doom Patrol Season 2 episode reviews, we also do DC Stargirl episode reviews each and every Friday after a brand new episode on Monday on DC Universe, the streaming service, or also on Tuesday nights on the CW. However, you can catch it all for free on Wednesdays on the CW.com and the CW app. We also do Perry Mason episode reviews each and every Monday after a brand new episode on HBO on Sunday nights. But if you only care about Doom Patrol Season 2, well, you're in luck / you're out of luck, where we're kind of out of order in things. So we're really far back, but we will still review the entire season, each episode, the whole season, the whole 9 yards. We're still doing that. So coming up in terms of when's the next episode review is going to be? So this weekend, it's actually pretty special because we are hitting, What's on the Tube is hitting its 100 episode. I am so freaking happy that we're finally hitting 100 episodes of the show. The overall show, we've done 100, we're about to do 100 reviews. And it's so crazy that we've been able to do this much, and I'm so happy we've reached this milestone. And we have a very, very, very big review to do for that one. We are going to be doing something big, something special. It will be announced on Twitter, but I'll give a hint towards the next review series I'm going to do. I'm doing the Perry Mason review after this after I wrap up this because I'm out of order on things. So that will be sadly because of that, that's going to preempt a planned slot for Doom Patrol. So we're only doing the episode 3 review next weekend. Then the review after that, the next week after that, we'll be doing episode 4 and 5 that weekend. And then after that, we should be finally caught up with Doom Patrol the next weekend after that. So we're still playing catch up here. I apologize. Schedules didn't line up. Things just didn't go out as I planned it to. But we're managing here. We're figuring it out. But if you don't care about Doom Patrol Season 2 episode review, you can most likely catch them each and every Saturday after a brand new episode on HBO Max and DC Universe, the streaming service, every Thursday. But again, if you're unaware, this was What's in the Tube from ActionX. If you want to see more of What's in the Tube, specifically our Doom Patrol Season 2 episode reviews, subscribe to us on YouTube.com. Ring the bell for notification when the next Doom Patrol review is live. Like, favorite, share if you want to, but it does really help us out in the long run, as well as follow us on social media to be up to date. As for you, Fan Patrol, I'll see you guys next time, next Saturday, hopefully. Peace out.